What's going on, guys? CleanSpark's mining update just dropped, so we're going to look over that. We're also going to check out both Bitcoin and CleanSpark on the chart. And we also have news of a stock split for ARKB, or ARK, 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. And we'll take a look at how it's performed since its inception. Now, looking at the CleanSpark mining update, starting with a quote from Zach Bradford, May was a strong execution month for CleanSpark as we continue to advance towards key growth targets. We increased our month-end hash rate to 45.6 exahash, up 7.5% sequentially or quarter to quarter, while improving average fleet efficiency. We expanded our Bitcoin treasury to over 12,500 Bitcoin, all from mining operations without any equity issued to finance the business since November 2024. They were serious when they said they don't want to dilute, and we are seeing that so far, which is fantastic. We also secured 72 megawatts of contracted power, bringing the total to 987. Our participation at Bitcoin 2025 further reinforced CleanSpark's leadership role in the space. Treasury management was a key discussion point, and I was proud to highlight that we are now the 6th largest Bitcoin holder, all mined directly through our own operations. It's a powerful validation in our infrastructure first strategy. To think that roughly, 5-6 years ago, maybe a little more, give or take, this was a microgrid company with 0 Bitcoin holdings, and now they are one of the top holders of Bitcoin, one of the most efficient Bitcoin miners. They have definitely come a long way from when their revenue every quarter was in the 100,000s, and no hopes of profitability at all during that time. Now, they did give us a June outlook. They did say they're on track to reach their 50 exahash goal. As we enter June, we're positioned to become the first public Bitcoin miner to achieve 50 exahash, entirely through self-operated infrastructure. This milestone reflects the strength of our vertically integrated model. Reaching 50 exahash is not our endpoint. We intend to continue building, and with much infrastructure already in place, we're well positioned to achieve over 60 exahash per second. We believe this execution-focused strategy will continue to drive long-term value for shareholders. And in the month of May, they mined 692 Bitcoin. Their total holdings in May, as of the end of May, is 12,502. Month-end operating hash rate, 45.6 exahash per second. Megawatts under contract, 987. Fleet efficiency, 16.71 joules per terahash. That is very efficient. There are still Bitcoin miners that are in the mid-20s. Less is more. Less is better. Total Bitcoin sold in May, 293. They have moved from 100% hodl to kind of trimming along the way, which I do think is smart as we get later and later into the cycle. And if they plan on not diluting shareholders, they do need to utilize some of their Bitcoin, whether it's for covered calls, for options like they're talking about in their earnings call, using the Bitcoin that they already hold, or whether it's selling a portion of the Bitcoin that they mined in the month. Also, they have a deployed fleet of 230,232 machines, produced 3,283 Bitcoin in this current year, 2025. And CleanSpark maintained an average hash rate of 42.5 exahash, average daily production of 22.39 Bitcoin. Their highest single day output was 23.5. And their sales for Bitcoin was at an average price of approximately 102,254. And they also do give a mention of what they're doing with some of their Bitcoin. Some of this amount, 2,210 out of the 12,502, was posted as collateral. Now, I'm pretty happy with this update, and also their words on dilution, the fact that they haven't diluted since November of 2024, and that does seem to be their focus, funding growth with their Bitcoin, not by diluting shareholders. I love to see it, and this is something that hopefully we continue to see. Of course, these companies will work in cycles. There will be some great times. There will be rough times that they might need to dilute sometimes. But the recent developments, the fact that they're utilizing their Bitcoin to fund operations, the fact that they're doing covered calls, making some juicy premiums, a quote from Gary V, the CFO, from their earnings call. And I do think things are looking pretty good for CleanSpark and good for shareholders. Looking at CleanSpark on the chart, it did hold up its 50 MA, kind of like what it did here. We did break our ascending channel. You see the break of this ascending channel. And we're basically retesting it right now, which we are also retesting this $9 area, which is a pretty important point for CleanSpark. It has been a support in the past. It has been a resistance in the past. And we did see a reaction on the break of this 917 area. So we do need to reclaim this roughly 917, 915, 917. And then it's a matter of trying to take over the 200 MA, actually clearing it and holding. We did break over it, but were quickly rejected in our last attempt. Now keep in mind that we are progressing through this quarter. Bitcoin is still right around the 100,000 area. Bitcoin's gains from the beginning of this quarter to now is so far looking really good for the Bitcoin miners. Bitcoin has under a month left before the quarter ends, and then we'll have a good idea of how these Bitcoin miners are going to look. Are they going to reach a profitable quarter like some expect, thanks mostly to Bitcoin's price increase? And of course, in terms of operations, mining Bitcoin when it's 90,000 is a lot different than mining Bitcoin when it's 105, 110,000, for example. Their margins are improving as Bitcoin's price goes up. Not only that, but their Bitcoin holdings are seeing a benefit because of the increase in value of Bitcoin, obviously. But it is projected that CleanSpark sees a profitable quarter, and I do think we're going to see that from a few of the Bitcoin miners, thanks mostly to Bitcoin's price, like I said. Now, I've showed you guys this with Bitcoin before. This is Q1. This was a quarter that was unprofitable for the Bitcoin miners. It started much higher and ended lower. They basically took an unrealized loss on their Bitcoin holdings. Whereas this quarter, Q2, we are looking fantastic so far. The quarter ends right here at the end of June. And as long as we stay in this upper range, as long as we don't crash under, this roughly 83,000, they will see a unrealized gain on their Bitcoin holdings from the beginning of the quarter to the end of the quarter. This will, again, cause a lot to post a profitable quarter. Along with Bitcoin's price, of course. I mean, mining Bitcoin at 106,000 is a lot different than mining Bitcoin while it's in the low 70s, mid 70s. So my official expectation is we are going to see a profitable quarter for earnings upcoming, and I do think we're going to see a little bit more excitement. I am keeping an eye on Bitcoin on this descending trend line, this yellow line here. We were kind of finding it as resistance. We are trying to break above it now. It'd be fantastic to actually break over, start testing out these previous highs. But we have something a little bit worrying coming up here. Potential head and shoulders. There's the shoulder, here's the head. If this kind of forms out, here's another shoulder. So that could bring us lower. Bitcoin since early April has been in a beautiful ascending channel, a very clear ascending channel. We might be starting a new trend. This might be a little consolidation, a little pullback into the mid 90s before we go on our next leg up. Bitcoin is volatile. This is how it goes. There are times where it does great. There are times when it pulls back. Embrace all of it. During times of fear, embrace. During times when sentiment is so negative and when everyone is just talking all the crap in the world, that's usually when you want to start accumulating, start buying. When everyone is bullish, when everyone thinks we're just going to go much, much higher, that's usually when you want to exercise just a little bit of caution. So we have some slightly bearish things going on with Bitcoin, a descending resistance we currently can't break out of, a potential head and shoulders up here. But we also have some very bullish things, such as this golden cross. And I hate being so repetitive, but this is important. Every golden cross Bitcoin has seen, we do see a big move afterwards. I am expecting that from Bitcoin. Of course, it doesn't have to be straight up right after the golden cross, and that's what we've been noticing so far. Right after this golden cross, we actually saw a little bit of a cool down, maybe because of how much it ran in anticipation. And similarly here, we saw our golden cross. We did see a little bit of a correction at first before we went on to rally to new all-time highs. We can see the same thing here. A little bit of a cool down, and then we can rally to all-time highs on this golden cross. And of course, following Bitcoin's 4-year cycle, which it has always been following since its inception, essentially, we should expect some higher prices by the end of the year. We should expect Bitcoin to go a little farther. 2025, towards the end, should be where things top out at. And based on historical norms, 2026 should be a great year to accumulate. It should be a rough year, a time where Bitcoin pulls back, but it should be a good time to accumulate. Now, you have to decide for yourself if you're going to continue to follow the cycle moving forwards, or because of all these institutionals getting involved, and because of the ETFs, of course, and everything else going on with Bitcoin, even states and nations getting involved, will the cycles continue? You have to decide for yourself. I do think the cycles will continue to some extent. Our bear markets aren't going to be as severe. Maybe they'll be shorter lived in terms of timeline, or less of a drop. One of the two, maybe both. I do think there are going to be corrections. There are going to be pullbacks. But let me know what you guys think about the 4-year cycle. Is it broken because of the ETFs now and all this other institutional adoption? Or will the 4-year cycles always play out? Now, we also had news that Microstrategy bought some Bitcoin like they always do every week. We also have this news here. Strategy offers $250 million of preferred stock to buy more Bitcoin. And proceeds from this offering are going to be used, obviously, to buy Bitcoin and for working capital to continue to fund operations. And this is going to be available for institutional investors and selective non-institutional investors, i.e. only those with money. Now, we did have this stock split from ARK21 shares, ARKB, and there's going to be a 3-to-1. Now, I'll leave this down below for you to just kind of get the details. In its inception, this was a low 40s stock. It is now 106. One thing these companies do as their share price gets higher and higher, they want to do a stock split so that it's kind of more accessible for retail investors. You know, it's a lot easier for someone to justify buying a share for $20, $30, $40 than buying something in the hundreds. So these stock splits can kind of help introduce more people to the stock, folks that otherwise wouldn't be willing to buy. But just look at this performance since inception. I mean, 142% from when they started. Oh, and this stock split is going to be on June 16. We are continuing to see these companies, institutions, ETFs, what have you, continuing to take Bitcoin off the table from the supply. There are 134 entities with 3,243 Bitcoin in total. Percentage of the 21 million, which is not all in circulation yet, but the vast majority is, 15% of the total of Bitcoin basically is already locked up into these funds. And just look at these top names are going to continue to accumulate more and more and more Bitcoin, making it harder for the everyday person to ever be able to buy one Bitcoin. We will be fighting for fractions. 0.1, 0.001, 0.0000001. It's going to get more and more fractional, fighting for basically Satoshis. As the cycles progress, it will be exponentially harder for a retail investor to ever be able to acquire one Bitcoin. But let me know how you guys are feeling today. How are you feeling about Bitcoin? How are you feeling about this stock split with ARKB? Are you into the spot ETFs, or do you just rather hold Bitcoin outright? And also, what do you think about CleanSpark's mining update? I do think it's nice to see that they are selling a little bit of Bitcoin as we continue to get deeper into this cycle, kind of locking in some profits, and also making it not diluted for shareholders. They are utilizing their Bitcoin to fund operations like they said in their earnings. They are staying true to their word, and I love seeing that. They definitely do have some work ahead of them in terms of the chart. We have to break over the 200 MA. It is nice that we are finding support still at the 50 MA. It'll be nice to break that 917 area, hopefully flip that as a support, and start working towards clearing the 200 MA as we approach earnings, which should be profitable for the vast majority of the Bitcoin miners because of Bitcoin's price and because of the cost to mine. But thanks as always for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.